Hello, I want to inform you that this video is a direct continuation of the previous part of the story, the link to which I will leave in the comments of this video. If you haven't watched the first part, I highly recommend doing so to understand the sequence of this amazing story. Kinsley's face frowned. Why didn't you want to stay in the regional center? By the way, Bella is retiring soon here. Kinsley's smile became more cheerful. You're a doctor, right? Come by our medical unit, talk to Bella. She would rather deal with herself than with our residents, Kinsley suggested. Maya nodded but didn't particularly contemplate working in the medical unit. In reality, her thoughts leaned towards a possible job in a nearby town where there might be a clinic. Do you have anyone who could help with the furnace? I'm not particularly knowledgeable about its maintenance, and it's getting very cold in the house, Meyer asked, concerned. I think my son, Iston, can help you, Kinsley smiled. Iston, Rishka, Meyer attempted to recall, but the name didn't trigger any memories. Yes, my son. He was supposed to chop wood today. Come to us, he'll help with the furnace and firewood, Kinsley offered. With gratitude to her neighbor, Maya headed towards their home. However, the huge structure, more resembling an icebox, didn't capture her attention. She didn't want to fall ill again in this settlement where there was no proper pharmacy, and the possibility of adequate examination was absent. Iston was at home. Seeing him through the fence, Maya didn't immediately recognize in him the same Iston she used to run with to the river. He had grown up, become tall, and was known as a real troublemaker. I recognized you right away, Maya, Iston smiled. This morning, I saw you leaving the house. Remember when you almost drowned, and I saved you? Maya laughed. I wasn't drowning, you didn't save me then, you pushed me into the river yourself. But now you can help me, my furnace isn't working at home, and I don't know how to use it. Can you help? Iston agreed, and together they figured out how to operate the furnace correctly. Afterwards, they had tea, reminiscing about childhood and their childish pranks. Discussing acquaintances, Maya briefly mentioned leaving her husband and planning to start a new life. You're risking a lot, Iston said admiringly. Just turning your whole life around like that. I probably wouldn't have had the courage. Maya replied sadly, you simply don't know all the details, that's why you think so. She hadn't noticed how time flew during the conversation with her childhood friend. The house was cozy and warm, and Maya didn't want to end the conversation with such an interesting conversationalist. Suddenly, she realized that during her years of marriage to Luke, she had almost forgotten what lengthy and sincere conversations were like. In recent years, Luke was always busy, lacking both time and desire for serious conversations with his wife. Maya pondered, perhaps all the interesting and important things he discussed and continues to discuss with Hannah. Once again immersed in her sad thoughts, Maya noticed that Iston lingered at his mother's place. Why aren't you going home? Maya asked, trying to distract him from realizing the futility of his former life. Iston shrugged, honestly, I'm scared. My wife recently gave birth, and I feel like I won't be able to handle it. Maya raised her eyebrows in surprise. You're afraid you won't be able to handle a child? Seriously? Iston nodded. Yes, seriously. I'm just a regular worker, I have rough hands, and I'm afraid of doing something wrong. I spent time fixing things at my mother's, planning to head straight to work afterward without stopping at home. Iston, that's not going to work, Maya said, shaking her head. Put yourself in your wife's shoes. How difficult it must be for her, thinking you won't come home. She's already going through a hard time, and you can't come and see your child. Is that what you want? Iston lowered his head. I want to, but I'm afraid. You're a healthy guy, and I'm scared with a little, defenseless baby, Maya. But you grew up with a younger brother, remember? You spent a lot of time with him, took care of him. Aunt Kinsley left you with him. And nothing bad happened, Maya countered. Life, under stress, might just leave to ants when you finally decide to come. Iston looked at Maya, his eyes widening. Why wouldn't she let me in? I'm her husband. But where are you right now, man? Why are you here and not with your family? You're doing everything to avoid seeing your wife and child. He asked. Maya had nothing to say in response. However, the next day, when Maya met Kinsley, she heard that Iston had gone back to his family yesterday. Suddenly packed his things, ran after the bus. Luckily, reason prevailed. And there you were, not with your family. You brought something good into this world, brought the husband and wife closer. He's now at home with his son and wife. It was wonderful, Kinsley recounted, smiling. It's nothing, you helped bring the husband and wife closer, which is important. Now, when she's not working with patients and shamefully leaving town, she feels guilty towards her patients, leaving them to other doctors, Maya concluded her story. The story continues at the Vetriac grocery store. The shelves were stocked with grains, sugar, salt, laundry detergents, and shampoos, but the absence of meat, frozen vegetables, and dairy products was immediately noticeable. What will you choose? The shop assistant asked Maya, recognizing in her the granddaughter of her childhood friend, Grandma Audrey. Audrey had changed drastically, although their ages were approximately the same, with a 1-year difference. Audrey seemed to look significantly older than she actually was, perhaps due to her disproportionate figure and signs of alcohol consumption. Is that you? Maya clarified, and Audrey nodded almost imperceptibly. What are you going to take? Maya asked, but in a few minutes, she needed to go for an appointment. Strange. This is how they refer to me behind my back now, Maya thought. On Audrey's shelf, there was an open bottle of Belinkaya vodka alongside a stack and sliced apples. Did you come here to mark your presence or something? Maya inquired. You've changed a lot, she noticed, sensing the smell of alcohol from Audrey. Are you planning to live here? Grab your stuff and vanish, Audrey replied rudely. Maya didn't choose to take offense and said calmly, the responsibility for your appearance, looking older than you actually are, isn't on me. You have children, as Grandma told me. Okay, just go away, Val. Audrey rushed out from behind the counter, pushed Maya towards the exit, and hissed, You're going to teach me. Go on, teach others. If needed, come to me for help, Maya managed to say as the store was closing. Not buying anything, Maya decided to go to the neighboring town. The snow on the roads had almost melted, and she needed to buy groceries and switch from summer to winter tires. Returning home in the evening, she saw a female figure near Grandma's house gates. In the darkness, it was hard to discern who it was, but soon Maya recognized Audrey, the same person who had driven her out of the store in the morning. Let's go inside, Maya said, handing Audrey 2 bags. Can you help me with the groceries? Audrey silently followed Maya. At first, they remained silent. Then Maya boiled the kettle, poured some tea, and placed a plate of candies on the table. Try these, they're delicious, we rarely come across them here. I used to buy them for the kids, Maya said. Suddenly, Audrey burst into tears, her shoulders shaking, while Maya simply watched her. Please help me, Maya, Audrey pleaded. I can't stop. Something broke in me after Christopher's death, and I started going downhill. I'm trying, but I can't stop, like Kato in the waterfall. And it's only getting worse. Christopher keeps appearing to me in my dreams, the kids cry. I just can't cope, I don't know how to control myself, Audrey spoke, attempting to articulate her feelings. Maya nodded. Okay, I'll try to help you. First, you'll buy pills in town, and you'll take them. If you drink after taking them, they'll take you to the hospital. Secondly, I'll take you myself, I'll accompany you to the appointment, because I suspect you won't have the strength or courage alone, Maya said. Audrey looked at Maya with teary eyes, occasionally nodding and drinking water from a glass. Do you really want to help me? Are you really doing this? She asked. I want your children to grow up as normal people. They feared their mother and saw less of what's happening with you than vodka. But you know, I think, deep inside, everything hurts, Maya replied, trying to comfort Audrey. Maya smiled and offered Audrey a candy. Take it, eat it. Stay with me today, or you'll do something foolish like this morning and then regret it, she said. A few days after this conversation, Maya and Audrey went to the city together and visited the hospital side by side. Audrey, who worked at the only Vetriac store, inspired after her doctor's visit and receiving help from Maya, told all the other residents about the reliability of her new friend and how she used to work as a general practitioner in the regional center. Maya didn't refuse help to anyone, and now her late grandmother's house turned into a sort of outpatient clinic. People brought her vegetables, meat, chicken, eggs. Some tried to give Maya money, but she accepted only food as gratitude from the happy elderly women who received prescriptions for medicines and discovered they didn't have any life-threatening illnesses. Later, Bella, a paramedic from the Vetriac Medical Point, visited Maya at home. Paramedic, stop fooling around, she said to Maya. Have you got your employment record book? Go to the city, let them hire you. I'm retiring, I've already submitted my application. It's not right for you to treat people at home for eggs and pickles, suggested Bella. Maya agreed with Bella and nodded in agreement. When it was time for work at the regional hospital, Maya consciously avoided encounters with her ex-husband and sister. She deliberately dodged discussions about her past. Regarding Hannah, she refrained from asking questions, and Lucy, her sister, cautiously avoided discussing Maya's past life and ex-husband. Maya didn't want to know stories connected to the past. None of them ever came to Vetriac to apologize or express regret to Maya. In February, heavy snowfalls began, and Maya, unaccustomed to such weather, was struck by this phenomenon. One of the elderly women who came for a consultation explained, "Winter here is fierce. In February, we always have such heavy snowfalls. It doesn't yield to spring, but the snow melts fast, although it accumulates." Maya nodded in understanding. I still have much to learn about village life, she thought, starting to get used to the peculiarities of this place. After a few months, Vetriaki became calm and quiet, life flowed steadily. Maya found satisfaction in her work, and now she knew all the residents of this small village. "Thank you, Maya," the villagers often said, remembering her grandmother. "She raised such a wonderful granddaughter, a joy to us all." Maya modestly smiled in response, not commenting on her patient's words. It was heartening for her to realize how warmly her grandmother was remembered. It testified that her grandmother had lived a good and worthy life, leaving a pleasant impression in the hearts of many. "Luke, get up," Maya said, feeling a mix of disappointment and compassion. "You'll freeze." She lifted him from the floor and sat him on a chair. "You're foolish for coming here on such a night. Get dressed, I'll make you some tea, and then you'll go back." Maya silently made tea, avoiding Luke's gaze. His sudden appearance disrupted her tranquility, but she strove to maintain her inner calm. "Sorry, Maya," Luke began, his voice sounding tormented. "I didn't know it would be you here. I came to take responsibility for my actions, for how I treated you." Maya silently handed him a cup of tea and continued looking away. She didn't want to listen to apologies and explanations, having long forgiven and moved on from her past. "You're my mistake, Maya," Luke continued. "You were the most precious to me, but I couldn't see your value. I understand that I lost the most precious thing I had in life. I apologize for everything I've done. I want you to know that I understand my guilt and am ready to take responsibility for it." "Your realization comes too late, Luke," Maya uttered, not lifting her gaze. "Your words cannot change what has already happened. We've been through that. I forgive, but the past remains in the past. I don't owe you anything more. Just leave." Luke finished his tea silently and prepared to leave. He stood at the threshold, looking at Maya. Menacing winds echoed through the deep snow. He opened the door, glanced at her one last time, and stepped into the night. Maya closed the door and retreated to her room, attempting to return to normalcy after the unexpected encounter. "How many times I've imagined a scene where you'd beg me for forgiveness," Maya spoke, looking away. "But now it's emptiness. Live your life. I'll work as a doctor in this village. I'm leaving, and I hope that when I return, you won't be here. Leave the key where you found it." Struggling to breathe in the cold air, Maya stepped out of the house. The wind lashed against her face and snow blew into her eyes. Trudging heavily through drifts nearly a meter high, she knocked on Audrey's door. Half an hour later, they sat at the table, sipping tea. "Did you really kick him out?" Maya asked. "I asked him to leave, but I didn't kick him out," Audrey replied. "Maya, I won't be able to live with someone who once betrayed. I'm afraid I'll always expect new betrayals. No, I just can't. If it were Christopher, maybe I would have forgiven him for the sake of the children," Audrey whispered, her voice breaking into tears. Maya embraced her, comforting her as if consoling a child. "We don't have children, and there's no point in the marriage," Maya said. "No," agreed Audrey. "Luke can't have children," she added, looking at her kids playing with toy cars on the bed. "She dreams of children. She aspires to a new life, free from betrayal. We just need to wait a little, and true love will surely find its way into her modest life," Maya mused. Share your impressions of this story in the comments. Follow the link in the comments of this video to watch the next part of this amazing story.